Everyone tells you the fix for blood sugar is simple. Just cut the sugar and ditch the carbs. It sounds like a done deal. But when we dove into the actual clinical research, it turns out that the popular advice is not where the science points at all. There is a literal switch inside almost every cell in your body that decides whether the sugar from your meal gets used for energy. Either that sugar is ushered inside to fuel your day, or it gets stuck floating around in your blood, causing trouble for your system. We only really started mapping how specific foods flip that cellular switch a few decades ago, and the findings are honestly quite surprising. Some of the foods hyped hardest as blood sugar miracles barely move the needle, while some unglamorous staples have the strongest evidence behind them. By the end of this, you will know exactly which 10 foods the research backs and which miracle claims are just marketing headlines. If it is not really about cutting everything out of your diet, what is it actually about? The answer lies in what you are missing. Most of what shapes your blood sugar response is not elimination, but rather including foods that interfere with digestion in very specific ways. Here is something most people never realize. The order in which you eat food within the same meal might matter just as much as the food itself. Right now, every carb-heavy meal you eat either hits your bloodstream in one fast, dangerous wave or gets broken up before it gets there. Which one happens depends almost entirely on what else was sitting on that plate with your carbohydrates to buffer the absorption process. To understand this, we looked back at history. Physicians in ancient India over 2,000 years ago noticed something strange in their patients. They saw that some people's urine attracted ants, so they called the condition honey urine and diagnosed it by taste, long before chemical analysis. Old explanations blamed it on the kidneys or the bladder, but the sugar itself seemed almost beside the point to those early observers. They were not wrong that sugar was pooling where it should not be. They just had no way to know why it was happening yet. Today, we know there is a door system on nearly every cell in your body, operated by a hormone called insulin to manage fuel. When working well, that system lets sugar from your last meal into your cells. But when overwhelmed, the sugar just backs up in your blood. Somewhere right now, a cell is standing at the door saying, "Sorry, we are full," and that is where the metabolic trouble begins. This is where beans earn their spot on the list. Legumes are loaded with fiber and resistant starch that slow down digestion significantly. These components physically slow down how fast a meal turns into blood sugar, giving your cellular door system time to keep up. That is why the fix is not complicated. Swapping in beans, lentils, or chickpeas a few times a week provides a gentler curve. Reaching for oats or chia seeds provides that same slow-release fiber, preventing the sudden spikes that stress your body's insulin response. Here is the weird part. Eating lentils at dinner can actually lower your blood sugar response to breakfast the very next morning. Researchers call this the second meal effect, which basically means your gut bacteria are working the night shift to keep you stable. There is also a timing trick that has nothing to do with what you eat, but everything to do with what you drink beforehand. A tablespoon or two of plain vinegar before a carb-heavy meal measurably blunts the glucose spike that follows shortly after you finish eating. In one clinical trial, the effect on blood sugar landed close to what researchers would expect from a standard diabetes medication. It turns out your simple salad dressing might be doing more metabolic work than your expensive daily multivitamin ever could. The acetic acid in vinegar slows how fast your stomach empties into your intestine, interfering with the enzymes that break starch into sugar. Because of this, the exact same meal hits your blood much slower, making the fix almost embarrassingly simple for anyone to try. A vinaigrette before the main course, or a tablespoon of vinegar and water 15 minutes before carbs is the whole trick. Now, let us look at the one everyone has heard about. The spice that gets marketed as a total blood sugar cure. Cinnamon shows up in more miracle food headlines than almost anything else, so we checked what the actual peer-reviewed trials say. It turns out the effect is real, but it is much smaller than advertised by those looking to sell you a quick fix. Multiple studies show cinnamon modestly lowering fasting blood sugar, but mostly in people whose blood sugar is already running quite high. If your levels are already normal, the research shows that cinnamon barely does anything at all to change your metabolic profile. Cinnamon is less of a miracle and more of a mild assist, so the honest fix is a reset of your expectations. It is a cheap, reasonable add-on if your blood sugar runs high, not something that lets you undo everything else on this list. Moving to the last category, it is less about any single meal and more about how the door system holds up over years. Almonds and walnuts are loaded with magnesium, a mineral that is part of the machinery behind that critical insulin door system. People who consistently run low on magnesium tend to run higher blood sugar, making these nuts a vital part of your long-term health. Fatty fish, leafy greens, and berries all feed the same long-term picture, keeping the whole system responsive and healthy over time. None of these move the needle in one sitting. The fix here is making them regulars rather than specialists you reach for once. Here is the biggest, easiest lever, and it might not even be a food at all. It is the order of your eating. Eating the vegetables and protein on your plate before the carbs blunts the glucose spike that follows that meal significantly. Some trials put the difference at close to 40%, just from going fork first at the salad instead of the bread. Remember the miracle food myth we mentioned? Here's the truth. There is no single miracle food that solves everything for you. Every food on this list works the same boring way, slowing sugar down or helping that cellular door system keep up. The magic was never in one specific ingredient. The magic was in the biological mechanism the whole time we were looking. Here is the real reveal. That door system handling sugar after every meal is the same one that gets overwhelmed over time. When it stays overwhelmed for long enough, it gets a name: insulin resistance, which is the actual root of type 2 diabetes. These were never just healthy eating foods. They are maintenance for a system you are running dozens of times every single day. Whether you have ever thought about your metabolism or not, you are constantly managing this complex system with every bite you take. To be clear, none of this replaces medical treatment for anyone already diagnosed. It works alongside it, not instead of it. Always consult with your physician before making significant changes to your diet or treatment plan, especially if you have health conditions. Next time a spice or supplement gets marketed as a blood sugar miracle, ask what door it is actually supposed to be opening. Understanding the mechanism allows you to take control of your health with evidence-based habits rather than chasing fleeting trends. We hope this deep dive into the science of glucose regulation helps you make more informed choices at your next meal. What food myth should we put to the real science next? Let us know in the comments below. We have been told that managing blood sugar is just about cutting carbs, but the science suggests a much more nuanced approach. It is not just about what you eliminate from your diet, but rather how you structure your meals throughout the entire day. Think of your body as a system that needs to be managed, where the timing of your intake dictates your metabolic response. The second meal effect is a perfect example of this, showing how a fiber-rich dinner can improve your glucose levels the next morning. When you consume complex fibers at night, your gut bacteria process them while you sleep, effectively priming your metabolism for the day ahead. This biological shift can lower your blood sugar response to breakfast by as much as 20 to 30%, simply through timing. Beyond fiber, there is a simple trick involving vinegar that has nothing to do with the food itself, but how you prepare for it. Taking a tablespoon of vinegar and water just minutes before a carb-heavy meal can measurably blunt the glucose spike that usually follows. The acetic acid in the vinegar slows down the rate at which your stomach empties, preventing a sudden rush of sugar into your blood. In some clinical trials, this simple habit has produced effects on blood sugar comparable to what we expect from actual diabetes medications. It turns out that a basic vinaigrette might be doing more heavy lifting for your health than your daily multivitamin ever could. Then there is the hype surrounding spices like cinnamon, which are often marketed as miracle cures for blood sugar issues. When we look at the actual research, the reality is a bit more grounded. Cinnamon does provide a modest assist for some people. Specifically, it shows the most benefit for those whose blood sugar is already running high, rather than those who are already healthy. If your levels are normal, the research suggests that cinnamon barely moves the needle at all, making it a mild helper, not a miracle. The real fix here is a reset of your expectations, viewing cinnamon as a reasonable add-on rather than a total solution. Moving to long-term health, we have to look at how your cells maintain their insulin sensitivity over months and years of eating. Almonds and walnuts are packed with magnesium, a mineral that acts as a vital gear in the machinery of your insulin door system. When your body is consistently low on magnesium, your blood sugar levels tend to drift higher, making these nuts essential for maintenance. Fatty fish, leafy greens, and berries also play a crucial role by providing plant compounds that keep your system responsive and healthy. These foods do not offer a quick fix in a single sitting, but they build a foundation that prevents your system from wearing down. The goal is to make these nutrient-dense foods regulars in your diet, rather than treating them as specialists you use once and forget. Now, we come to the biggest, easiest lever you can pull, and it does not require buying a single new ingredient. It is all about the order of your food. Eating your vegetables and protein before your carbohydrates can change everything. By consuming fiber and protein first, you create a physical buffer in your digestive tract that slows down the absorption of sugar. Some clinical trials have shown that this simple sequence can reduce your glucose spike by as much as 40% per meal. It is a profound shift in results, achieved simply by choosing to go fork first at the salad instead of the bread. This brings us back to the myth of the miracle food, which we can now see is not supported by the evidence. Every food on our list works through the same boring, reliable mechanism, slowing sugar down or helping your cells accept it. The magic was never hidden in one specific ingredient. It was always in the biological mechanism of your own digestion. This door system, which processes sugar after every meal, is the same one that eventually defines your long-term metabolic health. When this system is overwhelmed for years, it leads to insulin resistance, which is the actual root cause of type 2 diabetes. This means that these healthy foods are actually maintenance tools for a system you use dozens of times every single day. Understanding this helps you see food not just as calories, but as a way to support a complex, hard-working biological process. It is important to remember that these lifestyle adjustments do not replace medical treatment for anyone who has already been diagnosed. Instead, these habits work alongside professional medical care, providing a supportive environment for your body to function at its best. When you approach your diet with this mindset, you stop looking for shortcuts and start focusing on sustainable, effective habits. The next time you see a spice or a supplement marketed as a blood sugar miracle, you will know what to ask. Ask yourself what door it is supposed to be opening and whether it actually supports the mechanism your body needs. By shifting your focus from miracle foods to metabolic mechanisms, you gain a much clearer picture of how health works. It is about empowering yourself with the knowledge of how your body processes energy, rather than following the latest marketing trends. Science provides the roadmap, and your daily choices provide the fuel to keep that roadmap running smoothly for years to come. We have covered the basics of fiber, the timing of vinegar, the role of magnesium, and the power of meal sequencing. Each of these elements contributes to a more stable, predictable, and healthy relationship with the food you eat every day. Consistency is the key that unlocks the benefits of these strategies, turning small, simple changes into significant long-term health improvements. As we look ahead, we can continue to apply this rigorous, evidence-based lens to other common health myths and popular food trends. Understanding the why behind the what is the most effective way to navigate the often confusing world of nutritional advice. Thank you for joining us as we break down the science of blood sugar and separate the facts from the fiction.